Hey everybody, it's Allison, Prep Dish founder, and doing a bit more of a casual video today. So it's been a few months since I've recorded a video. Luckily I had batched. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I'm a big fan of batching and meal prep and all that, but luckily I batched a lot of videos. And then I am currently 17 weeks pregnant, and during all of the first trimester months, there was no way I was shooting a video. I really did not even get out of bed, to be honest. I had really bad morning sickness, and so today, to kick off shooting some videos again, I thought I would make it really easy on myself so that I could actually do it, because I knew if I tried to talk too much about food or make a production, I was never going to do it. And then two, like when you struggle with really bad morning sickness, I found one thing that helped was to get online, specifically on YouTube, and find videos and hear from other women who had gone through it, to know that you will get through it. So that's what I'm going to touch on a little bit today. I don't have a very specific outline, and I can do videos in the future that are a little more in depth, or if there's specific questions that people have. But the main thing I just wanted to touch on was to say, if you're going through it, just do the best you can. So I'm a dietitian by background. I've always been a healthy eater. Leading up to pregnancy, I was actually eating very clean. That might have been part of the reason we got pregnant. I was doing like a modified Whole30 with no sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine, grain-free. It was basically just like a lot of veggies and clean meats, and that was kind of it. And so we were eating really clean. And I know I've heard women's, I'm gonna eat clean throughout my entire pregnancy, and yeah, that maybe lasted the first 2 weeks, and then it hit, and once that sets in, I just had to do the best I can. I'm not going to go into the specifics of everything I ate, because honestly, even talking about it still makes me a little queasy. But just know I don't think I touched a vegetable or even had meat for 2 or 3 months, and I'm not even exaggerating on that. I just really, unless you count popcorn as a vegetable, I definitely had popcorn. But I just had to come up with whatever in my mind I could come up with that sounded good at the time. I would have that, and it kind of would get me through to the next day, and that would change sometimes day to day or week to week. There was never one consistent thing. I finally, with everything that worked for a while, it eventually didn't. I just would get tired of eating it. So and then in terms of the strategies, I watched every video, I read every article on different strategies. I did all of them. I tried them all. I don't know if any of them really helped, but I definitely wore the C-bands. Today's a good day I'm not wearing my C-bands. I wore those C-bands for months. I even bought the electric one, sends an electric pulse through. Maybe it helped. I will say it was over toilet bowl throwing up while I was wearing it, so it couldn't have done too much, but I think it maybe helped. Ginger really just made my stomach turn. A lot of those drops and lozenges, they all worked until they didn't. That's basically what I have to say. Is everything I tried, it worked until it didn't, and then it would turn my stomach, and I had to give that up. And that it made it hard to stock up on the things that I really liked, because as soon as I'd stock up on it, I would kind of be done with that and have to move on to the next item. And yeah, it was just really, it's hard. I don't know what else to say other than, for me, I just found that if I laid in bed and didn't move, that was kind of the best strategy. I tried to stay hydrated, but I could not drink water. I really kind of asked my doctor what the bare minimum was I had to do, and would try and get to that, a few cups in a day. But it really, I found ice cold water went down better. I know a lot of people mention that. I could not do hot tea. I do now, so I have gotten back to that. But really cold water is one thing that did help in terms of staying hydrated. But also The thing that pretty much stayed consistent was eating fruit, and fruit is really hydrating. So watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, and it really wasn't even in season, but we were able to find some decent fruit. Green apples a lot of times really helped. But again, it just depended on kind of the moment and how I felt. And very early on, I gave up on really caring. I mean, some of that stuff isn't unhealthy. So it's great that I was eating fruit, but it wasn't in my mind of I'm going to try and eat something that's healthy. I mean, the fruit was great because it was keeping me hydrated. That was always my top concern, was staying hydrated. This was right in the beginning of all of spring of 2020, so right before all of the quarantine and coronavirus came along, and so I really wanted to stay out of an ER, and that's kind of the risk that you run in early pregnancies. If you get dehydrated, you need to go to an ER, and that was kind of top of my mind, as I didn't really want to be in an ER. So that was my motivation to take those little sips of water throughout the day and try and keep something down. And I think sometimes you just can't. For people, I know I like to have control of situations, especially of my life and the way I feel. It's nice to have some of that, but I did not have any control. And I think I've talked to some friends that went through the same thing, and you just have to surrender and realize you can try all of the tricks out there, but at some point you just have zero control, and you're just growing a little human, and it's just part of it for some people, for better or worse. And I think it's really preparing us for something, bigger and better in life. And you just kind of have to keep that in mind, and you will get through this. It's another, just take it one day at a time. That, speaking of talking with other girlfriends, that really was one of the strategies that helped for me, was to have, I had my sister and my mom. So I think morning sickness, I think genetics plays a pretty big role in that. My mom was really sick with me, and then my sister, he's a 4-month-old, so she's pretty recently gone through this, and talking to them really helped because they had similar pregnancies, and just talking to other friends and know that, hey, it does suck, and you will get through it. And they were realistic. They didn't say, hey, because a lot of places say, oh, the second that second trimester hits, you're going to be fine. And no one told me that. None of my friends told me that. The articles did, but none of my friends told me that, because they knew it's different for everyone. I've had friends that have been sick the entire pregnancy, and luckily, I mean, I'm still not 100%, but I'm way better than I was before. I'm 17 weeks right now, but I'm still not 100%. Honestly, I feel like right now I feel like what I imagine people describing pregnancy as. I'll still kind of gag, and I still I have to eat breakfast before I get out of bed, and stay in bed for an hour in the mornings before I can even get up and start my day, because I'm still kind of that queasy in the morning. And most days I'm fine, but it kind of, I'll feel like I have 2 days good, and then 2 days where it kind of is set back again. And so I think that's another thing is, I was grateful that people were realistic with me and said, hey, look, it may not be the day that second trimester hits. And for me, it wasn't. I actually feel like the first week or two of the second trimester were some of the hardest, and not one because I was ready for it to be over, and I kind of thought maybe I was holding on to hope, but I had to hold on to something. So each week I was looking forward to the next one, and even if it wasn't a new leaf, at least that got me through to the next week. So that really did help me a lot to just make it to the next day or to the next week, but also being realistic that maybe second trimester isn't a magic number. I think for me, weeks 10 through 13 were maybe the roughest, maybe even starting at 9. I feel like 6 and 7 were bad, but I don't want to talk about it too much, but the nausea was there the whole time. But then when the throwing up starts, and then there were a few weeks or days where it was just nothing would stay down, and those days were just frustrating. Sometimes it would just be you'd keep a few meals down, but there were some days where nothing stayed down, and it's very defeating to feel that way. And then, and I did weigh myself to make sure I wasn't losing too much weight or getting too dehydrated. But it's super defeating to see that number go down, and I get that. I will say I'm gaining weight now, so that's I never thought I'd be so excited to gain weight, but it's very exciting to see those numbers come back up now. Right after, like the week after I kind of had my roughest week, I wasn't coming completely out of it yet, but I did have a friend that she suggested I get some Gatorade, so I got some Gatorade, and I noticed for that week right after I'd had a rough few days, I really craved Gatorade. So I do think in some ways I've learned to listen to my body, and just whatever it wants, I try and like honor that. And the Gatorade really tasted good, and really, I just like downed that Gatorade for a few days. And I think that's my body's way of rehydrating, until it didn't. Then finally I thought it was the one thing I could drink and be fine, because, the water was so hard to drink. And then no, one time I drank it and then threw it right back up. So, nothing's completely safe. And again, none of it's 100% in my control. I think that was just kind of the biggest lesson that I got out of all this. So yeah, if you're listening to this, I'd love to hear in the comments kind of what you're going through, what things would be helpful. I am on the other side of it for the most part. I mean, I'm sitting here, believe me, in the depths of this. I didn't leave my bed for the entire day except for to use the bathroom. And even that I did not want to do, because for me, standing up, especially walking into the bathroom, was really triggering. So I tried to avoid that. And I just really tried to stay in bed. And so now being able to be out of bed and eating, and I actually crave food now. I actually enjoy eating. I'm not doing it because I have to. And it just, it's so awesome to actually be able to to enjoy being pregnant. I'm, at the end of the video, I'll stand up and show you the little bump that I do have, and that's been a lot of fun, because in the beginning it's hard. Like, not only do you feel so shitty, but you don't look you don't look pregnant. You're losing weight, and most people don't even know. And so trying to have work calls while I'm in bed, and I just couldn't control how I was going to feel, and I just avoided scheduling anything, so I just never knew if I could reliably have a call. And one more thing I will touch on is I slept a ton. I could not believe, I'm still sleeping a little more, but I was sleeping 12 to 13 hours a day. I do think that I was grateful I was sleeping, because it was kind of nice to have the days be shorter, since I did feel so awful. I always welcomed the sleep, and I was sleeping well, so that kind of helped. And I feel like my body was doing what it needed to do. It was growing a baby while I was getting all that rest. So yeah, that's kind of top level, what I've been going through. If there's anything specific in there that you want me to touch on, like how I handled work, I just let things slide. That's the summary, but I could go into details on that. And as I get out of it, I could maybe go into details on some more food ideas, or I don't know. It would not be how to eat healthy in your first trimester, because if you take nothing else away from this video, it's that just at some point, if you're going through horrible morning sickness, that's just not going to be a top priority. It definitely was not for me. I am eating healthy now. I'm craving vegetables, which is awesome, and I enjoy that now. But if you're in it and you're wanting, whatever you're wanting is fine to want that, and just eat that. I had days where all I ate were bags of popcorn, and that was all I had for the day, and it felt like a good day because I kept a bag down or something. So if you're hurting, I feel you. Hopefully you feel a little better in watching this, and just know this too shall pass, and I'm sure thinking of you. So, and let me do that quick. I don't know if I can do it without messing up my mic, but see if I can get in a quick little belly. This is going to be close up, but there's that little belly shot. 17 weeks right there. So there you go. Bye, guys.